Okay. I just got out of the shower a few minutes ago. As you can see, I am dressed and ready to roll for the day. Now, I need to figure out exactly how to adjust the water temperature. And apparently, I need to go back to school on adjusting the water temperature. Because I turned it the wrong way and I totally burnt my scalp. Oh my god, it hurt so bad. But, lesson learned, and hopefully I won't ever have to worry about that again. But, I want to talk about a couple things real quick before we get into the TNA Impact recap for last night. And the show was actually really good last night, so we're going to talk about that in a minute. So, I just got off the phone with AJ's mom, and AJ, of course, is doing the same thing I'm doing right now, or just was doing a few minutes ago, and that's the reason I missed the phone call. Getting everything ready for today, and I will be picked up a little bit before 1, and I won't return here until probably after midnight, if not later. I hope not, because I need to get back so I can watch SmackDown, so I can chat SmackDown with everyone before I go to work tomorrow. But we'll figure that out later on. Excuse me. Now, here's the thing. Yesterday, I told you guys that I was waiting for Stephanie to get a hold of me so I can book my final day in All-Star Movies for Reunion this year. Well, guess what? Last night, and pretty much right after I did the video, she came through. So I'm now booked from the 5th to the 13th at All-Star Movies, me and Will, for Reunion 2013, and I cannot wait. Now, right now, I'm waiting out the DVC period so I can book Boardwalk Villas as well as the Bay Lake Tower. I can stay there. We're going to stay Bay Lake the first night, and we're going to stay at Boardwalk on the 13th. So everything else is going to be staying at All-Star Movies, which, who knows, maybe something like last year will happen, and the people that stay in the All-Stars are going to get bumped up to another resort. Now, it happened last year because this is the time of Pop Warner, and given the fact that All-Star Sports was already completely booked for this entire period of Reunion, it wasn't even an option this year, so they moved us to movies, which is awesome because I haven't been at movies since 2006. And again, I haven't been at music since 2007. So, basically, I'm getting to get a nice revisit to the All-Stars again. I will be at sports for September. I will be at movies for December. And yes, I've pretty much decided as of this very moment, I will be at music with my dad and my stepmom next September. Now, December next year, I don't know, it just kind of depends. I know in 2014, I'm looking to potentially stay, I don't know, probably sports again. Just depends on which All-Star is the cheapest for Reunion, because I want to go the cheap route because I'm going to pay a lot for September. And 2015 is the big trip. So I will be staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge for the Disney World half and the Grand Californian for the Disneyland half. So that's going to be amazing, and I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. So more details in 2015 as we get closer to the date. And I'm going to have an awesome time for the 25th anniversary of my first trip home. Now, I thought I would let you guys know that real quick. And we are here on Friday. So what does Friday mean? Friday means we're going to talk some TNA Impact. And that's exactly what we're going to do. But before we do that, I do want to say that I have been watching the Noob vs. Pro channel that Tim has. And it's really awesome, and I really love the animation, and I really wish I can get a hold of those guys so I can get them to animate me. So it'd be really cool because you'd have an animated picture of me drinking a frozen lemonade, wearing a Penn and Teller shirt, and Halloween Horror Nights laying it around my neck. And that would be pretty cool. So, obviously, I talked to Corey, and Corey's very busy right now with Diz, and I completely understand that, so no hard feelings to Corey. But if any of you out there can help me make a banner for this channel, it's going to say Suro and Disney's awesome YouTube channel, and it's going to have the link to the website as well as my Facebook and Twitter names on there as well. I thought that'd be a good idea, and maybe my tagline at the end. That's all I got to say about that. So if you guys can do that, and you can do it in the Disney font, it has to be in the Disney font. I know it's copyrighted, I get that, but it's got to be in the Disney font. So if you guys can do that, then please, by all means, and send them my way. You can get a hold of me really easily. Suro and Disney on Twitter. Obviously, Suro and Disney on Pinterest. And you can get me, obviously, on Facebook at Owen Disney. So, you check out, if you have anything, send them my way, honestly. And once again, 3,300 hits, and I have plus, actually, 3,300 plus, and I am only in the end of March right now. We started this little deal back in the middle of January, and it's already the 1st of April, as of 2 days from now. So, needless to say, I think we're doing pretty well for ourselves, and the 5,000 views and the 25 subscribers are getting closer and closer by the day. So, I need to get some lunch before AJ gets here. So, well, let's talk TNA Impact. So last night, we were live, and I can say that and mean it, live from Jonesboro, Arkansas. And we started off with basically Jeff Hardy coming to the ring. And he basically slaps hands with everybody at ringside, and he's really over with the crowd. So, a lot more over than he was last week. So, that's good for TNA, because obviously they want him to be the guy. So, it makes total sense. Basically, Hardy grabs the mic and says, I'm not 100% yet, but I'm better than I was, because now I have earned the #1 contendership. But because it's open fight night, I gotta call somebody out. So the Awesome Aces and Eights theme plays, and Bully Ray comes out leading the charge. He says the Jonesboro crowd need to sit down and shut their mouth as the group makes their way out from the back. Bully says he's sick and tired of hearing Hardy's voice and listening to him bitch and moan about everything. So basically, Bully Ray climbs up the top of the steps, and Aces and Eights spread around the ring. So they're all pretty much surrounding the ring at this point. Bully says they are the Aces and Eights. And of course you have a mixed reaction right there on that, because the crowd mostly are booing them, but there's some few sporadic cheers here and there. Bully asks Hardy if he was getting ready to call him out, and he hopes not, because this isn't Corpus Christi. And of course on April 11th, we'll hear this a lot during this recap, and a lot for the next couple weeks. April 11th, Corpus Christi, Texas will be the big rematch, Jeff Hardy versus Bully Ray, for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And if you call me out tonight, the title's not on the line, so why bother? Bully says, I wouldn't want to see anything bad happen to you in front of your moronic creatures. So Mr. Anderson climbs on the ring apron and grabs the mic. Now, here's funny about this. I called this match right when I saw this segment start, and I was right that it was going to happen, and it was awesome because it did happen. So basically, he says, I'm in total disbelief that you're getting another chance. But it happens all the time. I totally understand. Gotta sell the merch, right? Truth in advertising right there. So Anderson says he and Bully Ray never got the free pass that Hardy got because they don't need them. Anderson says as long as Hardy isn't burning down buildings or selling merch, like I said, gotta sell the merch, the rules apparently don't apply to him. Very true. So Mr. Anderson tells Bully Ray that Hardy is one giant disappointment after another, and Anderson tells Hardy he was a disappointment at Lockdown, and he will be a disappointment once again in Corpus Christi. So Jeff Hardy finally has enough, and he knocks Anderson off the apron. So the crowd goes crazy for it. Aces and Eights rush the ring, and they beat Hardy down. The group hold Hardy, and they pretty much just beat the daylights out of him. Bully Ray pulls out the chain, and here comes Kurt Angle, and he clears the ring along with people like Magnus and Eric Young, and they clear the ring. So Jeff Hardy gets on the mic and says, I've made my open fight night challenge for tonight. I want you, Ken Anderson, tonight in the main event. I was like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. These two actually work really well together. And Bully Ray and Mr. Anderson, great chemistry. And I got no problems with that because Mr. Anderson is absolutely gold on the mic. And I know a lot of people don't like Mr. Anderson's mic skills when it comes down to it, and a lot of people do, and a lot of people don't, but I think he's really very well utilized in this. Basically the fact that when he first joined Aces and Eights, he was kind of a background player, and now he's not as much, and I like that because they're letting Mr. Anderson shine in exactly what he does best, mic work. So that started off our show, and last week on Impact we saw Bad Influence help Bobby Roode and Austin Aries retain the World Tag Team titles against Hernandez and Chavo Guerrero. So, after that, of course, they attack the champions right after. So you would think, We're building towards Dirty Heels Bad Influence. And that's what I want to see, because I want to see these four go at it. However, we get a backstage segment with Chavo and Hernandez talking. They're sick of Bad Influence and all of their antics. And they come to the ring, and I wonder who they're going to call out. Chavo hypes up the crowd in his best Eddie Guerrero. I'm sorry, Chavo. I like you, but you're not your uncle, and you never will be, so please stop the Eddie shtick. Be yourself, really. I get that. I understand it's an homage. I understand it's a tribute to your uncle. But seriously, man, honestly, when it comes down to it, you don't have to be Eddie Guerrero. You don't. There was only one Eddie Guerrero, and unfortunately he passed. So I guarantee carrying the legacy of the Guerrero name, I get that completely. Don't rip off your uncle, please. Just stop. Chavo says we were robbed of the tag team titles last week, and this week it's all about payback. Isn't that WWE pay-per-view coming up in a couple months? Anyway, basically, tonight is open fight night. Holmes, yeah, like I said, more Eddie Guerrero. So, Chavo says the winner of this next match will become the official #1 contender to the World Tag Team Championships. Hulk Hogan apparently made this decision somewhere on the fly. Somewhere in the beginning of the day. It's like, they came up to catering, he's like, it's on, brother. So, basically, they called out Bad Influence. So, Daniels and Kazarian make their way to the ring. And we have our first match of the evening. And you know how we do. Chris Daniels bails to the ring apron as Kaz attacks Chavo on the outside, grabs Hernandez's leg during the suplex attempt. You know, the Ultimate Warrior Ravishing Rick Rude finish where they hold the leg down? A finish I've done with Chris Gon before. And this time there's a kick out. Not really a kick out, but the referee spots it, so stops the count. And Hernandez fights back. He hits the double shoulder block. And basically both members of Bad Influence hit the canvas. Daniels gets the boot up during the corner splash attempt and covers Hernandez for a 2 count, but the ref saw his foot on the ropes and he broke the count. Now Hernandez picks up Daniels, tags up Chavo, and Kaz knocks Guerrero off the top turnbuckle. Hernandez takes him out on the outside. Daniels goes for Angel's Wings and he picks Chavo up and it gets reversed with a slingshot shoulder block. Chavo hits the frog splash, 1, 2, 3. Match went about 12:09. Really good opening match. I very much enjoyed these four in the ring together, but I can't help but wonder what would have been if this team would have been Chavo and Homicide, not Chavo and Hernandez. Hernandez is a nice guy. He really is, honestly. He's a very nice guy. But when it comes down to it, I think this team's clunky. I really do. I get it with LAX. It made sense with Homicide because it fit. With this tag team, it doesn't work very well for me, and I like Hernandez. He has a reason to be on the show, but I don't necessarily like this tag team, so who knows what's going to happen with this. I love the fact that the referee was actually doing his job the whole time, and he caught all the illegal tactics that Daniels and Kaz were using, and it made total sense that it actually would happen. The fact that if you're a referee and you count the pinfall and there is a shoulder up, you obviously count the kick out, right? Now, if you're a referee and you see, I don't know, maybe Shane Storm drop an elbow and the guy doesn't kick out at 3, he loses and he lost to an elbow. So that's just how it works. Referee calls it like they see it. That's how it's done nowadays. And that makes great sense for Brian Stifler to be able to do that because of the simple fact that he caught the rope break. He caught the feet on the rope, so obviously he broke the count and made total sense. And obviously, Bad Influence got agitated at that because that's the reason why they lost. And they lost again. So now you have Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez as the #1 contenders to the World Tag Team Championships. Now, it was not said if this match is going to happen at Slammiversary or if it's going to happen on Impact. I mean, granted the fact that the Big Bully Ray Jeff Hardy rematch is going to be in Corpus Christi on Impact and not on Slammiversary tells me that there's obviously something in mind, even though the fact that Slammiversary is not till June 2nd, so obviously there's a lot to happen between now and then. So we get back from our next interview segment, and the interviewer knocks on the women's locker room, and Taryn Terrell opens the door. She basically says it's a big night as she's making her Knockouts debut officially in the ring. Not only does she have the perfect person to call out, she has the perfect outfit to wear. She smiles and shuts the door. So, we've seen this before. We've seen this before in the WWE, obviously. See Kelly, see Barbie Blank, same thing. But when it comes down to it, honestly, I think Taryn Terrell's better looking, so I think it might work. And she's not bad on the mic. She proved when she was on, I think it was ECW or SmackDown, one of the two. When she was on ECW or SmackDown, I think it was ECW. She was the GM of ECW for a while. And, or should I call it WeCW, because that's pretty much what it was, the WWE homogenized version of ECW. She was GM on ECW for a while as Tiffany, and it worked. It worked really well. I know a lot of her segments got a lot of heat because most people didn't like them, but honestly, she's not bad on the mic, to be honest. And she's okay in the ring. I mean, she's got to be better than Kelly Kelly. So I think that's what we're going with Taryn Terrell. Taryn Terrell is going to be TNA's version of Kelly Kelly. I don't have a problem with that. Maybe you guys do. I do not. So we come back from a commercial break, and we have a new segment here on Impact. Not really a segment, but a new feature on Impact, which is Impact Insta-Fact, which is basically talking about the success of the pay-per-view lockdown. Last week, of course, we see clips about Taryn Terrell being fired as a referee by Brooke Hogan, and when she was fired as a referee, she was hired as a knockout. So we come back live, and Taryn Terrell is in the ring, and she's handed a mic, and her response is, "I'm so excited about this being my first official night as a knockout." She calls out Gail Kim, like we knew that wasn't going to happen, and she comes out. Gail Kim basically says nothing, because she doesn't show up immediately. She kind of waits a second, and awkwardly she kind of walks out midway through. So Gail grabs the mic, heads to the ring. She asks Taryn if she really wanted to embarrass herself like that on national television. Not only has she rubbed her the wrong way, she's rubbed a lot of other workers in the back the other way as well. And one of those people is the former Knockouts champion, Tara. So Gail Kim asks Tara to come down and take care of business, and she comes down the ring with Mr. Spectacular, as usual. And Gail Kim basically mocks Taryn for thinking she can hang with them. Gail attacks Taryn from behind, and her and Tara double team her. And then all of a sudden, Velvet Sky's music hits, and she runs out for the save. They clear the ring, and the music kicks back up. So, not bad. Not a bad segment. Once again, Juliet, I know you gotta love the fact that the Divas are being utilized on WWE right now, as well as the Knockouts on TNA. So it makes total sense right now. If you're a fan of women's entertainment, I mean, there is women's wrestling in TNA, obviously, but if you're a fan of this, then obviously you like this segment. If you're not, then obviously you kind of slept on this segment. And I can understand both sides of the coin. I'm kind of in the middle because, honestly, I like the TNA Knockouts division. I think it's miles and miles ahead of the Divas division, given the fact that the Divas division has Sarah Del Rey as one of the trainers. I mean, come on. You have the talent there, you can do something with them, but you're not. TNA, on the other hand, actually does something with their Knockouts division. The only problem is, they've ticked off way too many people that used to work for them, and they have burned their bridges so badly that they'll never go back. Which sucks, because there's a lot of people that are not in the TNA Knockouts division anymore that I wish would come back, and obviously they cannot, for whatever reason. So, it's a sad state of affairs, but it's how we work. And I thought this was building up to a tag match. I still think we could get the tag match down the road. The funny thing is, I called the run-in, but I thought it was going to be Miss Tessmacher. For some reason, it made sense, but then I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, Velvet Sky's somewhat feuding with Tara right now, I guess. So, it made sense, and it works really well for me, and I think we are going to get our Taryn Terrell-Gail Kim match somewhere in the near future. Not distant future, near future. We're not going to get all the way to Slammiversary, but I'm pretty sure in the next couple weeks of Impact, you're going to see it happen. Obviously, I didn't read spoilers for tonight, and I'm not going to because I want to watch it live. Now, we get to Gut Check. And actually, I've got a lot of notes for Gut Checks. I'm going to read those to you guys. So, Gut Check is next week. And, of course, the crowd here obviously sees it this week and have already seen it. But Gut Check is going to be between two men. Magno and Scrap Iron Adam Pearce. And I've been wanting to see Adam Pearce in TNA for a long, long time. So, we're going to talk about that for a second. Okay. Here's what I know about Magno. Apparently, he's called High Fly Magno. He likes to use the Shooting Star Press. He was a part of Team Mexico's World X Cup. That team, of course, was along with Puma, Incognito, and Shocker. Now, the team finished in third place, of course, Team USA in first, Team Canada in second. And Team Japan was dead last. So after TNA, Magno went to wrestle in the Indies, in US and Mexico. Basically, what we know about Magno is just simply that. He's a masked luchador, and he's going to have a good match. that's not the person I'm thinking about. Enter Scrap Iron Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce, you may know if you are JCW fans as U.S. Marshal Adam J. Pearce. Obviously, him and Colt Cabana ran a storyline with the Weed Man and Too Tough Tony in JCW. You obviously might know him from WXO. I know most people don't even remember that promotion. You know, the show that was on basically syndicated television on Sunday mornings. Ted DiBiase was like their commissioner. Anyway, you saw Zandig on that show of all people. But anyway, that's not what I'm talking about. Basically, Scrap Iron Adam Pearce has been a California indie staple. He is a former Pro Wrestling Guerrilla Heavyweight Champion and a 5-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And of course, we know he left the NWA originally after his Best of 7 series with Colt Cabana. And pretty much, he was gone for a while, and then he ended up in an NWA Smoky Mountain tournament, so I don't think he's done with the NWA. However, Scrap Iron Adam Pearce is somebody that TNA needs. He can work, he can talk. He's a 17-year veteran, and I'm pretty positive he is going to win this gut check. Now, granted, he doesn't need a gut check, obviously, but when it comes down to it, it makes total sense that he ends up in TNA one way or another, and that's exactly what is going to happen. Now, obviously last time we had Gut Check, I called Ivelisse to win Gut Check because it made total sense for me. Well, given the fact that I've read the spoilers for the one-night only pay-per-views, Ivelisse is involved with TNA and actually involved with the Aces and Eights. I don't know when that's going to be dropped on television, but apparently, according to spoilers, I know that she is a part of the Aces and Eights teams for a couple of the pay-per-views. So, she'll probably get revealed as Aces and Eights sooner rather than later. But, like I said, Adam Pearce is the real deal, and for those of you that haven't seen him, go check him out on YouTube. Honestly, Scrap Iron Adam Pearce is awesome. And he is definitely going to be a very well-used and well-utilized company man in TNA. And it's about time he made it to one of the big two. So now that I waxed poetic about Adam Pearce, we're going to talk about the fact that after this segment, we come back from commercial break after an awkward altercation between Sting and a stagehand, which I don't think it should have been taped, to be honest. I think it was taped accidentally. We come back from commercial break and Jeff Hardy is in Hulk Hogan's office. Hogan says he booked a match between Hardy and Bully Ray that will happen on April 11th in Corpus Christi, as we all know. Hogan puts Hardy over for putting his guaranteed #1 contendership on the line last week against Angles, Joe, and Magnus, and he apologizes for locking him in the cage at Lockdown with Bully Ray. Hardy says, "I don't live for the past, I live for the future, and look forward to winning the title back." Hogan gives Hardy permission to pick the stipulation for April 11th. Could be anything at this point. At this point, you hear Sting's music in the background, and Hogan basically says he's not supposed to be here. So we get to Sting coming out, and the crowd is completely into him, 100%. Sting gets on the mic and says Bully Ray swerved him and the entire world. I was wrong about Bully Ray, and I need to fix the problem, but the only way I can do that is getting on the same page with the GM. So, for Open Fight Night, I'm calling out Hulk Hogan. That's exactly what he does. So Hogan comes out wearing his normal stuff and everything, and he basically is on one crutch at this point. And he puts the crutch down, and he walks to the ring, agitated like usual. Sting says this is going to be his third attempt to try to apologize. And if Hogan doesn't accept things the way that they are, things might get nuclear. So Hogan says he should have listened to his gut, but he listened to people like Sting and Dixie Carter, so he let Bully Ray in. He says TNA is now in trouble because of Sting. He tells Hogan, once again, to stop blaming others for the decisions he has made. Sting furthermore says Hogan is the fearless leader who will make the ultimate decision, and he needs to man up and take ownership of the fact that he messed up. Hogan admits to being accountable for picking Bully as his #1 contender, as well as letting his daughter marry him. But he's tired of listening to people, and he tells Sting to get the hell out of his ring. Sting simply says, "Make me." So we get Atlas Security into the ring, and they separate the two. Sting is let out of the ring to a chorus of boos, and goes to the backstage area. I like this intensity. Now, Will, I know obviously you don't like TNA because of Hogan, but this is the time that Hogan actually works. Hogan and Sting on the mic together, doesn't have to be a wrestling match. Hogan and Sting on the mic together still works because that intensity is there. You definitely can tell that in the storyline wise, they both want to get over the fact that neither of them like each other for obvious reasons. And it's conveyed rather well on the microphone, and I think that it's going to work really well as we continue to go forward. But to be totally honest, if anybody could still go in the ring with Hogan, it'd be Sting. Honestly, I think that there might still be money made for one more Sting-Hogan match. Could be at Bound for Glory this year. That might be a possibility. Who knows? Now, obviously, I don't want to see this happen with Hogan revealed as the man who's been pulling the strings behind all the aces and eights all along, like everyone thought he was going to. But thankfully, that didn't happen, so if that happens, I think it's going to be something that does not involve aces and eights. I think it's going to be something that just involves the fact that both Sting and Hulk Hogan legitimately hate each other, in storyline-wise at least. So it's going to work really well for more compelling television. So we come back from commercial break, and we see Matt Morgan. He basically says Sting is just another Hulk Hogan mistake while he is being let out of the building. So, pretty much, we recap the storyline that we've had with AJ Styles being a brooding emo kid, as usual. And when we get back from this, Cowboy James Storm makes his way out to the ring. He calls out AJ Styles. No music, nothing. Storm looks into the crowd, and AJ is standing there in the crowd at the top of the ramp, or the top of the steps, just listening to what Storm has to say. Storm tells Styles he can handle it two ways. We can drink and talk about it, or we can fight it out. The choice is yours. But before anything can happen, Garrett Bischoff, Wes Briscoe, and Doc hit the ring, and they jump James Storm. So we get a 3-on-1. Eric's Young music hits, and he runs out, and he comes to try to make the save, and he gets overpowered momentarily. And then Kurt Angle comes out to even the odds. So Angle gets on the mic and says, we got a challenge, 3-on-3, 6-man tag, up next. So AJ once again proving he doesn't have to say anything to say everything. And I like this new AJ Styles. And I'm telling you, putting AJ Styles over as the savior of TNA makes perfect sense. Obviously, this is a rehash of the Crow Sting, I get that. But this is done a whole different way. And I think you can do something a lot better with this. With AJ not saying anything, he's not just going to randomly attack people or give people random beatings all the time. He's not going to do that. He's just going to just not say anything and let his actions speak louder than his words. Obviously, his words are not going to be spoken at all. And I think that you have a lot of money with AJ Styles being brought back as the person that's going to be the one who takes down the aces and eights in the end. I think that's exactly where we're leading, and I have absolutely no problems with that. So we get to our second match of the evening. Yeah, second match of the evening. We're already in the second hour of the show. So it's not really that many matches tonight, actually. So we get back from commercial break as Eric Young escapes the reverse chinlock with the Jawbreaker. Storm tags back in and starts taking on aces and eights by himself. Storm connects with the flying neckbreaker. He hits the chin breaker, then off the ropes the flying neckbreaker. And Doc pulls him down by the hair from the ring apron. Briscoe stomps away on Storm and tags Doc in. He whips Storm into the corner, hits the running splash before choking him on the middle rope. So Doc covers Storm for a 2 count. Bischoff tags in and gets caught with a series of rights. Bischoff kills his momentum with a back elbow and another 2 count. So Bischoff pounds away with a series of rights until the referee forces him off. And Briscoe tags in, whipping Bischoff into Storm into the corner. Briscoe then whips Storm right into a Briscoe clothesline, which looked awesome, by the way. Don't let Briscoe talk, just let him work, you're fine. So Briscoe plays to the crowd for some heat as usual and chokes Storm in the corner with his boot. Briscoe goes for another cover, gets the 2 count, and goes into a reverse chinlock. Storm gets up to his feet, hammers away his way out, Briscoe tosses him to the canvas. So Doc tags back in, hits a series of body shots, Storm escapes the corner, and we have a double down via a headbutt. Hot tag to Kurt Angle, and he takes it right into Wes Briscoe. Doc runs in, Angle drops him with a German, drops Briscoe with a suplex, drops Bischoff with another German, Angle drops the straps, and here comes D'Lo Brown for the distraction. Bischoff goes to hit Angle with a chain, he ducks, locks in the ankle lock, Briscoe sneaks up from behind, rolls him up, hooks the tights, 1, 2, 3. Okay. If D'Lo Brown can still wrestle, I think we're leading to Kurt Angle and D'Lo Brown. I think this match will happen. I almost guarantee this match will happen. And it doesn't make sense for it not to happen. And it doesn't make any sense for it to be even focused on if it can't happen. If D'Lo cannot wrestle, then why is he keep interfering? I understand his place in Aces and Eights. I get that. He basically has a point. He's the vice president. When it comes down to it, he's a driving force in the group. If he can't wrestle, you don't tease him against Kurt Angle. Obviously, we tease Taz, and he can't wrestle, literally. So, because he's injured now. Obviously, he can't wrestle, so he's pretty much retired. When it comes down to it, I don't think D'Lo Brown is. And if he's not, that means he can still go. If he can still go, D'Lo Brown and Kurt Angle will happen before the summertime. I almost guarantee that's going to be the case. The match did go a little bit longer than I thought it would. So, we come back to back, but it's alright. It was a decent match as it was. So, Bully Ray is backstage with Devon and Mr. Anderson. Actually, she's back talking about Devon with Mr. Anderson. There you go. So, Bully brought up Jeff Hardy, and Anderson goes crazy. He says he's not even going to make it to Corpus Christi, and he takes the hammer and he starts hitting everything in sight, and basically just crazy. Absolutely insane is Mr. Anderson at this point. He wants to take out Jeff Hardy, so he doesn't even get to Texas. So, Mr. Anderson is spot on tonight. He's absolutely great in everything he does. So, we come back from commercial break, and we get a video about the new X Division rules. All the matches will be triple threat matches. There's going to be a 230-pound weight limit. And basically, Kenny King has no problem with this. He can take out anybody he wants. So, JB talks about the one-night only pay-per-view that is centered around the X Division next weekend. He introduces the plan from the Himalayas, Sanjay Dutt, who unfortunately was the one who was pinned last week in the match with King and Zema Ion. So that means he has to win another qualifying match in order to get back into contention for the X Division Championship. Who's he going to have to face? Well, the first man is PWG former tag team champion, and the man that most fans that don't watch TNA would know as the guy Harold in the Dr. Shelby skits on WWE television with Daniel Bryan and Kane. And that would be Mason Andrews, aka Scorpio Sky. And the final participant, former two-time TNA X Division champion, Maple Leaf Muscle, the Canadian Destroyer, Petey Williams. Yes, Petey Williams will make his return to TNA television next week. So we get, in essence, Sanjay Dutt, Petey Williams, and Scorpio Sky in a three-way. I say this all the time, but I'm going to say it again. Yes, please. I have no problem with this whatsoever. And it's going to be amazing, and I cannot wait. So, I don't care who wins this match. I think all of them could. I think Petey Williams might, to be totally honest. I think Petey Williams and Kenny King will probably happen sooner rather than later. But you can't go wrong with any of these guys winning. So, I have no problem with that. Obviously, we're going to see Jigsaw back in the ring soon, and a lot of the cruiserweights. So, the X Division talent is going to get a lot more interesting as we go forward. So, we get to our main event. And our main event, of course, was set up earlier in the show. Jeff Hardy against Mr. Anderson. So, as usual, we come back from commercial break. Hardy is locked in an armbar. And Anderson, of course, during the commercial break, countered the twist of fate and took control. And now we're back to live television. Hardy whips Anderson off, but he ran into a pair of boots and a DDT to the arm for a 2 count. He stomps Hardy some more and he locks on the armbar. Hardy escapes with the arm drag and they trade rights and lefts. So Hardy blocks one of the shots and hits the running forearm, the inverted atomic drop, and drops both feet into the midsection and the seated drop kick for the 2 count. Anderson reverses the Irish whip, but he ran into the boots during the corner splash. He followed up for the second rope splash for a kick out. Hardy goes for poetry in motion. Anderson sidesteps it, goes for the cover repeatedly. First, he just goes, lays on him, and then he hooks the leg, but both only get a 2 count. So Anderson accidentally bumps the ref, and here comes Garrett Bischoff. He hands Anderson the hammer. Hardy ducks the hammer swing, nails the twist of fate. Hardy takes the hammer, cracks Garrett in the midsection, knocking him off the ring apron, and we have a disqualification. So, Mr. Anderson, amazing on the mic all night. The match wasn't as great as it could have been. It was alright. It was decent. Not really a main event quality match, but it was okay. It was good for what it was. And it was basically just to set this up. So Hardy hit Bischoff with the hammer, grabbed the steel chair from the outside. He cracks Mr. Anderson with it. Hits Whisper in the wind to send them both back in the ring. He grabs a table from under the ring and slides it in. Hardy sets it up, grabs a ladder from the outside, and brings it up to the ring. We know where we're going with this, guys. You do. Or you think you do. So Hardy sets the ladder up in the corner, grabs Mr. Anderson. Anderson knees him in the midsection, goes for a suplex. Hardy blocks it. This time it's another twist of fate. Picks up Anderson, puts him on the table, climbs the top of the ladder. Bully Ray finally has enough, drags Anderson off the table, throws the table to the side, and they escape to the back. Hardy grabs the mic. The rematch. Corpus Christi, April 11th. Tables, ladders, chairs, and chains. That's right. We are going to see a Full Metal Mayhem match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, let me talk about this stipulation, mind you. Now, Full Metal Mayhem is basically a TLC match with chains utilized. Also, in the event that you don't know what a TLC match is, obviously you've never seen one, or you don't know what a Full Metal Mayhem match is, basically, the gist of this is pretty much anything metal is legal. At least for the first Full Metal Mayhem match, that was at Against All Odds, 2005, that was a stipulation between Jeff Hardy and Abyss. Basically, anything is legal, no disqualification, no countout, anything goes. So Abyss won this match by climbing the ladder to receive the contract at the NWA World Heavyweight Championship on a future episode of TNA Impact. Abyss was never granted this title shot because he lost his title shot to AJ Styles at Lockdown, even though the shot that Styles won was used at Hard Justice and not on Impact. But Abyss did get title shots at No Surrender and Slammiversary that year. Full Metal Mayhem was used at Sacrifice 2006 on May 14th. Abyss went one-on-one against Christian Cage for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Cage won that match. The third appearance, Victory Road 2008. They took 2 years off. 6-man tag with Christian Cage, AJ Styles, and Rhino against Kurt Angle and Team 3D. So Angle pinned Styles. They won the match. The fourth ever Full Metal Mayhem match was at Bound for Glory 2009. 4 tag teams. Team 3D, Scott Steiner and Booker T, Beer Money, and the British Invasion battled with both the TNA World Heavyweight Championships and the IWGP Tag Team Championships on the line. The British Invasion grabbed the World Tag Team titles, and Team 3D got the IWGP belts. In 2010, December 5th, Final Resolution, the Motor City Machine Guns faced off against Generation Me, or as you would know them, the Young Bucks, and they retained the World Tag Team Championships. On the sixth Full Metal Mayhem match, Bound for Glory, October 16th, 2011, we saw Rob Van Dam defeat the new effing show, the newly retired Jerry Lynn. And now we're going to see a Full Metal Mayhem match between Bully Ray and Jeff Hardy. Say what you want about hardcore wrestling, this match is going to be awesome. Both men have the chemistry to make this match work, and I know they will work it to the full extent of the stipulation. You're going to see a lot of rather crazy things, especially from Jeff Hardy, and Bully doesn't have a problem taking crazy things, so obviously this is going to happen. I'll tell you right now, it's nice that they're bringing Full Metal Mayhem back. Now, you pretty much exhausted all the stipulations you possibly could do. Now, you could have done a regular ladder match, could have done a tables match. This is something more special than that. This is the World Heavyweight title on the line. And basically, you can't do Ultimate X with Bully Ray. I mean, you can, but there's no reason to. You do Full Metal Mayhem. It makes perfect sense. They're going to bleed. They're going to fight. They're going to beat the hell out of each other, and it's going to be awesome with the World Heavyweight title on the line, and obviously Bully Ray retaining. So, it's going to be great, because technically, Jeff Hardy and Bully Ray are going to have one amazing hardcore match that's going to have a tremendous storyline. Obviously, you go back to the days of the Hardy Boys versus the Dudley Boys, and the TLC matches, and the ladder matches in WWE. You talk about Team 3D against the Hardy Boys in TNA. So, these two have had their history, and you can play up every single aspect of it. It's going to be awesome. So, the show was pretty good. I enjoyed it, and more building back up the aces and eights after they lost at Lockdown. So, a new rejuvenation period for aces and eights, and I think that they're not going anywhere anytime soon, as the pay-per-view spoilers tell me 100% that's going to be the case. Transitional period, because obviously we are trying to get our way to April 11th, which looks to be an awesome event. And I cannot wait to see Full Metal Mayhem on free television. You could have done this at Slammiversary, but you're going to do it on free television. But then again, it makes sense because you're putting over the weekly television product and not the 4 pay-per-views you have to go throughout the calendar year. You'll go somewhere else for Slammiversary, but Full Metal Mayhem with Bully Ray and Jeff Hardy, I got no problems with that. So, good show overall. I very much enjoyed it. And once again, wrestling fans, we will be going towards WrestleMania once again. We are literally almost 1 week away from WrestleMania. WrestleMania will be a week from this Sunday. So, 2 days and a week away. So, 9 days to WrestleMania, and this Monday night, of course, we're going to have the go-home edition of Raw, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And, of course, Friday night, you're going to have the go-home edition for SmackDown, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Now, wrestling fans, I will be talking TNA Impact tonight. Obviously, as you well know, you're watching this right now. Tomorrow, we're going to talk SmackDown, and, of course, Tuesday, we're going to talk Raw. So, we got a lot of things still to come. AJ's Weekend Movie Reviews bring us The Host and G.I. Joe, as well as Spring Breakers and Stoker, as well as Evil Dead and Room 237 coming next week, the week of WrestleMania. So we got a lot of things to look forward to. We're going to talk Apprentice on Monday, and there's a lot of things still to come, so stay tuned. So I'm going to get off here, have me some lunch before I get picked up in about an hour. So until tomorrow, that's all I got to say about that.